On this episode of the Command Zone, the North Carolina Association of Fire Chiefs has invited two folks to be with us today to talk about something very serious and important in the fire service, and that is mental health. Today we have with us Captain Dina Ali and Engineer Dylan Briggs with the North Carolina Peer Support Network. Mental health, it takes on a lot of different ideas and images in an individual's mind. And when we think about mental health, I know now that as research has shown us, we're seeing more and more stuff that's related to that, such as substance abuse, sleep problems, and that ends up kind of building and building until we get to some more severe problems. What does some of the research say that the peer support group has been working on? What is it bringing out for us to learn from?
I think the biggest thing is that first responders, firefighters, we're all human and we all experience stress in our lives. And without appropriate outlets and without appropriate knowledge and skills, we tend to bottle it up. And like you mentioned, substance abuse. So when we have stress, when we're overwhelmed, we try to make ourselves feel better. And the way the fire service is, I think a lot of us were brought in and told, suck it up, buttercup, leave your personal stuff at the door. So we show up and we feel like we have to put on a face and we feel like we have to be perfect and ready to serve. And in doing that, we hide what's bothering us. And that's why we'll find these bad ways to cope. And that's where substance abuse comes in. If we're stressed out, if we feel overwhelmed, we want to make ourselves feel better. And it's hard to open up and talk when that's the best thing to do. So we find those maladaptive coping skills.
So for some folks, they may have in their mind that the critical type of incidents are what generates the stress that builds off of this problem. But I think we're learning more now that it's not always these big critical incidents that tend to build into the stress of the job. Sometimes it's layered, sometimes it's just kind of compounded over and over again. What can you share with us about that?
I'm glad you asked that because we got data from other agencies, and two of the largest agencies who've been doing peer support for the longest, Chicago Fire Department and FDNY. They shared their peer support contacts. Chicago specifically, they shared theirs over a 30-year period. Oh, wow. And in that time, they had, I think, almost 3,000 contacts. Mm-hmm. And the number one issue that their first responders were facing was relationship issues, followed by organizational issues, followed by financial, substance abuse, and the trauma was actually number 6 on that list. Wow. And when Frank Lito with FDNY shared their data, same thing. And this was even after 9/11, and we would all suspect that trauma should be up high. Right. But for FDNY, it was the same thing. It was relationship issues and organizational issues. And with those organizational issues, what that means is relationships within the organization, leadership, feeling of safety, feeling purpose. So it's just fascinating to realize that relationships are a big piece of it. And it goes back to us being human.
So if someone was reaching out for help and they were able to gain access to your website and be able to find a connection there to reach out, all of that information is available on your website, correct? Mm-hmm. Okay, good deal.
Yeah, we've got, if you just go to our website, ncffps.org, we have a phone number, and that phone number is monitored by 8 volunteers that are first responders. Somebody will call that number. We don't have it set up to where we answer the phone, because again, we're all volunteers, right. But they leave a message and all of us get a ding. And then we have a group where we kind of find out who's available, mm-hmm. and somebody calls back, and usually they get a phone call in less than 5 minutes. And then there's also a way they can fill something out on the computer and just say what they need, and we get an email on that.